Oh my god. Oh. It's nice to see you. I'm glad you could make it. We have officially reached the time of the year that I have affectionately dubbed the reader marathon, because this cannot be a sprint. There are too many things going on for anybody to look at this like a sprint. I feel like summer comes, end of spring comes, and every single one of our favorite authors are dropping a new book, and every single one of those bookstore runs goes from getting one new release to getting 5 new releases, and it is just the happiest, best time of the year. Really the happiest time to be alive, if I do say so myself. That being said, if you saw my most recent Bookish Diaries video, you would have seen that I went to the bookstore with the intention to get two new releases, forgetting how many of my favorite authors had released new books, and I ended up getting 5 new releases. And now, do not get me wrong, there are 112 things on my to-do list. There are 112 books staring at me. My TBR is looking at me right now like, girl, there are things you should be doing, but they are things I cannot do, knowing that these new releases are sitting unread. I don't know what to tell you. I am literally just a girl, and in my girl world, I get to make the rules, and those rules are mood read. And when the mood is calling for reading new releases, you read new releases. So I thought it'd be fun to bring you along. We could do a little week of reading new releases, week-ish, see what happens, see where the mood takes us. But we're gonna read at least some of the books that have caught my eye to the point that I have gone to the bookstore, added them to cart, and checked out and brought them home with me, and they're now in my hands. No, because this is literally my most favorite time of the year. Like, every single one of these authors are coming out with absolute bangers. Now I'll introduce you to this week's TBC. Now, you might be thinking, hey Maddie, didn't you just make a TBR and none of these books are really on there? Now, you might be right. You might be 100% right. That being said, I kind of just forgot that all these were coming out. There's no world that I can leave this stack of 5 beautiful books unread. I feel like the reader in you that got you to click this video understands where I'm coming from. You understand the importance of getting through this list and not the list of books that I bought other times. Now, if you know me, you know what a TBC is. This is our to be considered, meaning where the mood takes us, we will go. Which of these we will end up reading is unknown. Only editing me knows. Only the end of this video you knows. How many of these we will read? Totally up in the air. But this is what is to be considered. This might not be our to be read, but it is our to be considered. Up first, and arguably I feel like most importantly, but I feel like I'm gonna say that about all of these. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, One Dark Window, Two Twisted Crowns was magnificent, and I've heard that there is a character in this that calls everyone Bartholomew, and that is great comedic relief, and I have heard nothing but amazing 5-star reviews for this, and Rachel Gillig can really do no wrong, and so many people who loved One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns like this even more, and like One Dark Window was already such a beautiful, unique magic system world situation, and this is a whole new thing. One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I eat up these little Canadian small town romances. She did something with This Summer Will Be Different. I haven't read Every Summer After because I've heard there's a trope in there that I just don't think I'd really care for, so I actually don't know anything about this character going in. However, her books always just kind of hit a soft spot. That's a lie. I did not like Meet Me at the Lake. This Summer Will Be Different hit a soft spot, and I feel like this one will be just as good, because that's what I've heard. I've heard this could be her best. And if it's up from Every Summer After to here, and this is better than This Summer Will Be Different, I want to know. It's a love story by Annabelle Monaghan. Now, I feel like this book in me will have a love story, because Annabelle Monaghan, the way that she writes, it is truly a talent to write the words that she writes with the most beautiful quotes and create such great parasocial relationships with fake characters in such a short amount of words. I think she is amazing at what she does, and the way that she writes her stories is so unique, so pull your heartstrings, and they make you feel so many things, and it's so annotatable, but in such a finite amount of time. Like, truly such a skill. And I've heard this one's really good. Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. Obviously, no, literally obviously, there is no world that I can leave this unread. All 3 of my book besties have read this and given it such high ratings. Hazelwood can do no wrong. She can do no wrong. And also the cameos that we get in this one, this being a spin-off of Not in Love, she's feeding us. She stays feeding us. My Friends by Fredrik. Okay, I want to get into Fredrik Bachman so bad. I think I will love Beartown. I don't know if I'm ready for that level of emotional devastation right now. So enter Standalone, that I feel like will still be just as emotionally devastating. I just know that Fredrik Bachman's writing is probably going to be for me. Like, so many people who read like me love Fredrik Bachman. The entire Beartown trilogy is constantly recommended to me, and I've heard really amazing things about this, and I think the story in this is going to be really beautiful. I don't totally know what it's about, but I know it goes somewhere around this is a painting, and there's a girl who has always loved this painting, and this painting is going for auction, and we're getting dual timeline. It sounds like it's just going to be an emotional, beautiful thing, and that's what I like, emotional, beautiful things. Now, there's no world that you can look at this stack right now and know that I have been looking at this stack right now and not be like, yeah, Maddie, I totally understand why you have to abandon all other responsibilities to at least get into this. We'll see how many we read. We'll see which ones we get to. That being said, we are spending a week and we are reading new releases. Tis the damn season, babe. Tis the damn season. And now because I'm physically unable of making a decision, I will be sending this picture to the book club and letting them pick. So we'll see which one I should get into. I'm gonna be honest, I just need to know. I just need to know. I've seen too many people loving this. I've seen too many of the Ali Hazelwood girlies say this is one of their favorites, and the book club couldn't decide. We were all kind of about all of them, so I just went with my gut reaction, which was this. It feels like the right choice. It feels like summer. It feels like new release season, and I'm so excited. It's such a great time to be alive. It's such a great time to be alive and be a reader girly. I made them extra messy, just for you. That's a real best friend. Just for all of us. We love it extra messy. We love it extra messy. I've heard this is a great age gap. No, I'm hooked. I'm already. Does Eli know that I'd rather hug the floor of a lavatory than be present while he exchanges vows with the love of his life? Ali Hazelwood just knows how to do it. Why is this the first time that I'm reading about a romance taking place at a wedding from a previous romance book's characters? Like, this is prime backdrop of a romance book. We're getting information and conclusions from couples we loved from previous books, but we're also getting something new and exciting. Tell me why this has never been done before, and I think it's the best thing to happen since sliced bread. Proceeds to be the most dramatic person that has ever walked the entirety of the earth. I am just over halfway, like a decent amount over halfway through Problematic Summer Romance, and honestly, this is like what I needed in my soul. Like, this is the book I wanted to pick up, and Ali Hazelwood just does not know how to miss. It is just not something she knows how to do. Every single thing is going to be hit after hit after hit. I haven't read Deep End, so I'm holding my tongue on my opinions on that because I know a lot of people didn't connect to that one. However, everything else that I've read, hit after hit, she just does it every single time. We're following Maya, who is the estranged little sister but now very close with Eli, the male main character from Not in Love. So I feel like we already had this like base understanding of Maya and who she was and her connection to everything. Basically, Maya was a lot younger than Eli, and Eli didn't get along with his parents, but Maya was very close with them. And then their parents died very unexpectedly when she was 13, and Eli became the legal guardian of Maya and was raising her, but he was also a kid, so they definitely had a little bit of issues going on. We got Eli's point of view of it when he was meeting Rue in Not in Love, and how he carries this guilt of like never being a parent for her because he was so young and he didn't know what to do. Like, he also couldn't believe that the government was like, here's your younger sister, you make enough money, figure it out. And Maya was like, I was a tyrant, like I was going through it and I treated you like shit, and she didn't really know how to re-bridge that gap. However, where we are right now in the book, the ages that they are at, the things that they've gone through, the gap has been re-bridged, but the context we have about the characters and knowing that about them and just the discussions that go on in regards to that re-bridging is adding so much context to this book. What if I actually kind of told you what it's about? Because that was where I was starting and saying all of that. Moral of the story, we're at Eli and Rue's wedding, which does mean that they worked out, which is exactly what we needed to hear, okay? I believed in them back then, but I believe in them so much more now. Like, Eli, Maya keeps making jokes in this book that like Eli dropped his business hours to just like stare at Rue, because like that seems to be the only thing that he does, like to make sure that she's okay, and he's always worried about her. Like, I'm obsessed with them as a couple, and to see that they're doing well to the point that they're having this wedding in Sicily, say less, literally say less. So beautiful. Again, we're gonna try and get back on track. Maya is a little sister of Eli, and she is a little genius, and Eli is so proud of her. I'm gonna talk about Eli and Maya's relationship so much if I do not stop myself, but the amount of times that Eli preaches about how proud he is of Maya, and like, I did not have a hand in that. That was always gonna be you. And the way that all of his friends are like, no, he talks about you all the time. Like, he's always been so proud of you. No, I think that's my favorite love line in this book so far. Yeah, the familial love line. I am loving the romance in this. What if I got back on track? Okay, hard and fast, stop. Here's the line in the sand. You've talked about Eli and Maya enough. We are going to talk about Connor and Maya now. Connor is Connor Harkness, the founder of the business that Eli and all of his friends from Not in Love founded, and Connor is the billionaire boy, right? He is 35 to Maya's 20. Maya's 23 now, so he's 37. But they got kind of close 3 years ago when she went through a breakup in university and she was calling for Eli, but Eli was on a plane and he couldn't answer. So the call got patched through to Connor Harkness, and he remembered what it was like to go through heartbreak, and he was like, I'm just gonna go there and support her. Attention, the things this man does for her. I kind of want to tell you nothing. I will say, intense age gap, and his dad sucked. His dad was so in love with the young women, and he does not want to be like that. So he does not see a world that he could ever be with Maya, but he cares for Maya. And then Maya, on the other hand, is like, no, I'm just obsessed with you. I guess we'll be friends. And then something happened 10 months ago after this whole situation that they were best friends. He answered that phone call and he helped her with her problem when she was going through her heartbreak. They had that whole time that they were friends. She didn't necessarily want to be friends. We don't know if he wanted to be friends, but we know she didn't. But she was like, I'd rather have this person in my life. Like, I would rather talk to this person than anybody else in the entire world. So if we have to be just friends, we can be just friends. But 10 months ago, something happened and they completely cut off communication. So she doesn't even want to go to this wedding because she knows that she's going to see him there. But they're both part of the wedding party. They're spending this week together in Sicily. It's so picturesque. It's so beautiful. Ali Hazelwood has such a way with words. Like, the way that she uses the English language is so interesting. Like, you can tell that she is just smart and her characters are smart and witty. I will say, Maya reads so much like an Ali Hazelwood female main character's best friend. If you've read Ali Hazelwood, I feel like you know what I'm saying, but I feel like Ali Hazelwood's main characters are normally really quirky and like really eccentric, but in a way that you love them. Maya still has so much of that, but she's like the cooler younger sister, which is kind of how most of Ali Hazelwood's female main characters' best friends read. I just love being in her point of view. I love the relationships in this. I will say the fact that it's interconnected is making this so much deeper because we already have these underlying knowledge of the characters that are all a part of this wedding party and are all a part of the story from other books. Whether they were periphery characters in another book and they're just periphery characters in this book, we kind of have an understanding of other outlying relationships and like the way that the friendships are working and everything. It's just very well strung together. There's just something so incredibly Ali Hazelwood core in how she makes you love characters and like feel for this found familyness in her stories in such a quick amount of time. And this is literally no different. It feels like summer. I feel like I can literally smell the lemons in the lemon trees. I was also on the phone with Emily last night and she told me that it's gonna rip my heart out when I find out why Connor stopped talking to her 10 months ago. Just his protective energy, and he's so down bad, and he's just like, I can't be the person that takes advantage of you, but it's so good. It's literally so good. They're both so down bad, but Maya's so cool and so fun to be in the head of, and he just gives like hot, sexy, older billionaire. Like, why can't we all have love stories like this in Italy? This is like what we all deserve. I have a pretty intense feeling that this is gonna end up being finished tonight because I read a good portion of it throughout the day tanning today, which, can I just say, reading Ali Hazelwood in the sun, there's really not much in this world that can be better than that. That being said, I now need to know why he stopped talking to her 10 months ago. I now need to know how they get together because I will not accept anything other than them getting together. I will not even entertain the idea of them not being in game. But that might be a me toxic trait. Regardless, if you were wondering how problematic summer romance is going, eating it up. Now I'm eating it up. And she's just like a little genius. And her brother is so proud of her. No, these people are real. No, I actually forgot that I was reading about fictional characters because they're so real to me. I think this is it. This is the moment the tension's gonna snap. This is the moment we've been waiting for. To come on here and just say like, this is a good book. Like, this was a good book. I almost have like no critical thoughts about it. Like, I have nothing to critique, nothing to say. This was just an arguably extremely good book. There was not a single moment, sentence, word, character, anything in this book that made me like feel irked or like want to change something. There was nothing. It was just such a good book. It almost says more about what Ali Hazelwood can do with her books and her characters and the way that she just transports you into these worlds, me having nothing to say. Like, I don't have any critiques. It was just so good. No wheels were reinvented, but nobody was trying to reinvent a wheel, okay? I don't know what to tell you. It was literally just such a good book. I normally am like this teeny tiny thing, or if you love this about a book, or if you really don't like this, you might not like this. I have none of those thoughts with this. This is just an objectively good book. The characterization, the story, the set, the setting, the romance, the problems, everything in this just read, it was so good. No, it was just so good. Hear me out. Hear me out. I did get intense all the way through 5-star feelings, okay? I was consistently feeling 5-star feelings. That being said, I am going to give it a 4.75. That could change maybe. However, when things flipped and when we like finally got that moment that the couple, I mean, it's a romance book. It's not a spoiler. They're gonna end up together. You know what I mean? I feel like that's not a spoiler to we're gonna get romance. Right? We all expect that. That being said, when that flipped and we were finally getting that romance line, I don't 100% totally understand how we get there, and I feel like if we had one chapter in his point of view, it would be 100% a 5-star. However, that would take away different parts of this book because the fact that we only have the female main character's point of view is what makes this so freaking good. It was so good. I also loved Maya in this. Like, I definitely connected to Maya maybe the most of any of Ali Hazelwood female main characters so far, just the way that Maya was so Ali Hazelwood core. If you've read Ali Hazelwood, there's no other way to explain it. If you haven't, get on it. Literally get on it. And they're just so good. I will say this one is not overly sciencey. Like, other ones have been a little bit more sciencey. This one like aired on the side of being a little less sciencey, but it was just still quirky and fun. And like, Maya's a genius, but she's also like a really cool young girl. And a lot of LA characters are kind of more on the weird side or a little more quirky. Maya was very much so like the female main character in Ali Hazelwood books' best friend. She just exudes coolness. And Hark in this, Connor Harkness. No, I'm obsessed. They did talk about the age gap so much, and like, it's not that crazy of an age gap. Like, everything, I don't know, it didn't feel like that crazy of an age gap to me. However, like, maybe if when I was 23 and I had a 35-year-old man in front of me, that would be an adult and I'd feel like a child. However, no, it was just such a good book. It was literally just such a good book. The interconnectedness of this made it so much better. I do think I have to say, if you are going to read this, that you should read Not in Love first. I know, sue me, I'm sorry. However, the connections between the two, the character overlaps and everything, it just like, it was so worth it to have known everyone. And you can tell that Ali Hazelwood just like loves Italy. It says something in the author's note about how Sicily is her favorite place in Italy, and she just like wanted to exude her love for Sicily in this book. And like, let me say, it came through. It did come through fully and wholeheartedly. Like, I felt like I could picture the villa they were all staying in. It was the perfect amount of problems. Their problems were realistic, and the characters were layered enough that the reasons that they couldn't just be together from the beginning, and the reason that we're even here in the first place, because obviously they just can't be there from the beginning or else we wouldn't have a book, you know what I mean? But the reasons that we were there, they made sense. But it wasn't in a way that was like unnecessarily traumatic and unnecessarily drawn out and extremely emotional. It was just like this is something that I dealt with growing up, or this is an experience that I had growing up and I don't want to be like that, or this is why I am the way I am. And it makes you understand the characters, but it does so in a way that just feels realistic and not like extremely hard to read. The problems make sense. I guess the moral of the story is the problems make sense, but they do so in a way that it can still be a fun summer read, and it doesn't have to be something that you're crying beside the pool reading. Because like, that's not always what we're going for. It's usually what I'm going for, but I understand that that's not what everyone's always going for. I have no critiques. I have nothing negative to say. It's kind of hard to talk about an Ali Hazelwood book because all of her books, just if you haven't read Ali Hazelwood, it's hard to explain the way that she writes because it's pretty simple, but she uses words in such an interesting way, and she uses such fun analogies, and they're like baby science-y that just kind of is like a different tone for reading a book. Like, it's a normal romance, it just happens to take place with like a bunch of geniuses, but it's not like they're more versed in romance, because like, that's a human experience. We all have no fucking idea what's going on, right? So I don't know what to tell you other than to pick this up, but this is a 5. In my heart, this is a 5. I just don't think I could in good conscience give it a 5, knowing that I had that thought when it flipped, that I was like, and I mean, I understand how it happened. I loved it, and I wouldn't change anything about it. I don't want a single chapter added to explain to me why that happened, because that would take away, I think. Maybe it's a 5. I'm gonna sit on it, but it's at least a 4.75, which tells you that it's probably gonna be a 5 for some of you out there. So, in other words, pick it up. You can not come at me for me trying to make you have a good time, and this is a good time. This is just a good book. This is literally just a good book. I feel like I've been reading a lot more books that like demand to be like critically analyzed and to like say something about them. This was literally just good, and I have no critical thoughts because it was so good that I have no critiques and there are no worries and it's just good. Oh, it's literally just so good. I forgot how fun a summer little romance could be. Literally bury me in this book. I fear I'm back on my summer romance kick. We still have a pile of 4 unread new releases staring at me over there, so we'll see where we go. With every single fiber of my being, I cannot wait to read the word Bartholomew 112 times. And I know it sounds like I'm being facetious, but 75% of the reason that this book is in my hands right now being read is because of this strange gargoyle character who calls everyone Bartholomew. Like, what is that about? I just know Rachel Gillig had to be giggling every single time she wrote the name Bartholomew. Doesn't this gargoyle call everyone Bartholomew? What's up with that? I simply need to know. Bartholomew has been in this book more times than the word the on page 10. Why Bartholomew? I can confirm at about officially the halfway point, the gargoyle who calls everyone Bartholomew is in fact my favorite character. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is not only the comedic relief in this story, he is single-handedly put it on his back and is carrying it. That might be a little bit dramatic. However, about 30 pages ago, we had a conversation with a horse that was not entirely riveting. He felt very bad about what we were doing to them post-mortem, and Six had to explain to him that we don't actually beat dead horses. It's just a figure of speech. And the poor guy was dumbfounded. And I feel like that explains the gargoyle better than anything else could. That really is him in a nutshell. At least 75% of the annotations in here so far are strange things that he has said, and it's figures of speech. The guy cannot catch on to figures of speech, and it makes me love him even more. Why am I reading the word Bartholomew 11 times on the same page and loving it? No, why am I loving it? The amount of conversations that have been had where people are like, your name is Bartholomew? And she has to be like, no, he calls everyone Bartholomew. And they're like, why? And she has to be like, literally no one knows. I don't want to get into it. I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean? The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. We're officially at the halfway-ish point. I'm on chapter 16, page 201, and I think it's just under 400 pages. I'm not going to flip to the last page because I've had some bad luck with flipping to the last page recently and spoiling things for myself. That being said, this feels like Rachel Gillig, but it simultaneously feels like somehow the same voice as One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, but so entirely completely different. She has this very specific type of gothic fantasy that's not scary gothic or dark gothic, but more just toying with the idea of being gothic, but done excellently. That's not to say that there's anything missing from it or it's not a telltale gothic fantasy. It's just a Rachel Gillig gothic fantasy. They're just very much so in a lane of their own. One thing that has shocked me going into this one that I was not expecting was that the overarching feeling that I had for One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns was I was a person with bird's eye view watching in on a teeny tiny town of teeny tiny figurines moving around, and that was how I was viewing the world. And I've never read a book that made me feel like that other than One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, Enter the Night and the Moth, because her worlds are so contained and so small. They feel really low on population. It feels like a very small area that things are taking place in. In the Shepherd King's duology, it was literally contained by mist. So the people who lived in this town were the only people affected by this. And then the kingdom in this book is pretty small. They're traveling pretty small distances, 10 miles between things. And that's the entirety of this kingdom. However, the entire story takes place of this church and these omens that they worship as gods and the conditions that happen are gospel to these people, but only these people. I don't know how to explain it. It feels small and miniature, but so contained that it makes the story feel more serious, as I feel like the best way to explain it. Like, it feels like this section of this world is completely isolated from the rest of the world, but it's done so in a way that we don't need to get into otherworldly politics. Like, I feel like there's a lot of fantasy books where we're reading about like one country and it's like, so what's going on in the rest of the, because we know there's more world, versus in this it feels like they're completely isolated. I guess I could tell you what's going on in this world. Moral of the story is her books have this very specific flavor is a very strange word to use there, but I'm gonna say flavor to them, that makes you feel like you're watching like miniatures. Did anybody else go to Safety Village as a kid? I feel like that might be a very niche Ontario experience. Safety Village was like a mini version of a town that taught you how to use stop signs. Actually, you know when you were a kid and you would go and see like new developments with your parents and they had miniature versions of what the area would come to be, and there were like teeny tiny houses, teeny tiny trees. I feel like I'm looking in to one of those, and that's where this story is taking place. And I've only ever had Rachel Gillig's words, Rachel's stories, connect me that nichely to an experience like that. I know I'm being dramatic, but that is literally how I feel like I'm experiencing this story. She has such a unique voice and such a unique way of creating her worlds that make them feel very contained and like miniature, but so otherworldly, because all of the characters and the people in this world believe what they believe so wholeheartedly. Getting back on track, I guess I could tell you kind of what's going on in this world. However, we're reading a fantasy book, so my descriptions when it comes to fantasy books, they're never going to be all that clear. I feel like this one I have a pretty good grasp, but they're never going to be all that clear, so buckle in. Yep, safety first. We're at Safety Village. Okay, safety first. We're in the point of view of Six, and now Six has no name because she was a foundling that became a diviner. Now, I know all of those words mean nothing, so let me try and add some context. In this world, in this county, in this place, there is a king. However, the world is really run by the Aisling Cathedral, where their entire belief systems, their entire faith, all of their gods comes from this spring of water that exists in the Aisling Cathedral. And there are always 6 foundlings, little children, little girls who are orphans that are taken in by the Aisling Cathedral to be raised as diviners. So they literally go into this spring, they drown in this spring, and then they get visions from all 6 of the gods. But it is a rule that they cannot and no one can see their eyes, so all 6 of them wear shrouds to cover their eyes. So they are very identifiable and therefore can't really leave the Aisling Cathedral. They're very like divine figures. Like everybody wants their fortune told, and only the people with enough money can really afford to get a divination. And the book starts with the king coming to get his divination, and our main character Six is the one to give him the divination. All of the gods are saying things are not looking great. These are a lot of bad omens. There's a lot of stuff going on, okay? But one of the king's knights gets a little bit under her skin and says that she kind of has no idea what's going on in the world, and she takes that to heart because she is the one of the 6 diviners that have taken the rules so heavily, so steadfastly. And as soon as she meets this king and as soon as she meets these knights, she's kind of feeling like she wants to be a person a little bit more, get her personhood back. They don't know their names, they don't have any memories from their childhood, so she decides to sneak all of the diviners out with the knights to go and have a night and see what it's like actually in the kingdom that they're from, because they literally have no memories of anything prior to being a diviner, and the 6 of them are just a sisterhood. This all ends up encompassing in a divination that she ends up doing for someone that does not go the way that you think it's gonna go, and she's spooked by it, and she doesn't know what to think about it or what to say she saw when she drowned, because yes, they have to drown every single time that they do a divination, and all 6 of them don't really enjoy doing it, even though they've been brainwashed to thinking that they're the holiest, best people in the entire world for doing so. And that night when she goes to bed and wakes up, one of her 6 sisters is missing, and then the next morning happens and another sister is missing, so her and Rory, who is that knight that told her that she is no fun, kind of have to team up to try and figure out where the diviners have gone and what is happening in this kingdom. And that is my long story short, but still long, explanation of what is going on in this book. Could I have definitely done it in less words? 100%. Yeah, they weren't up here, they weren't in my brain, but I'm sure somebody else could have done it in less words. It's such an easy read. Like, it's so easy to get lost in this world. It's so like all encompassing. I feel like you can picture everything that's going on. The characters all have like very big personalities, and it's a very like dry, witty kind of humor, which is just entertaining to read, and you don't get a lot of the times in fantasy. I feel like fantasies tend to take themselves very seriously, which, don't get me wrong, I love that. I love a fantasy that takes itself extremely seriously. It's just fun sometimes to read something that's like very of its own flavor, and everything Rachel Gillig writes is so very much of her own flavor. I have no idea where this could go. Like, I don't even know what like our overarching journey is gonna be yet. That being said, I did realize right before I filmed this that this was gonna be a duology, and I just already know how many questions are gonna be left unanswered and the edge of the seat that I will be waiting on for the second book. Fun is being had, characters are great, writing is great, world is great. It's so very much so of its own brand, and sometimes there's just nothing better than reading a book that doesn't remind you of anything else. And there's so many things and little tropes and little things in this book that are just like telltale perfect fantasy I'm gonna love every single time, but done in such a peculiar flavor that is Rachel Gillig's writing that is just like the most enjoyable. Every town or area or little portion of this kingdom that is named, that has a little area, it's a town. Every town in this kingdom has their own ecosystem, their own god that they worship, which is one of the omens, and their own sprites. And the sprites that are wreaking havoc in each of these little areas are so unique to the area that they're in. Like in the forest, they are literally trees with a bunch of eyes, and all the sprites wreaking havoc in this world. I feel like it's gonna expand on in the second book. Like I feel like that's gonna be a lot more in the second book, but it makes the world feel so like whimsical and fun. Like it feels so distant and far off in fantasy, while also being like very easy to understand and like a little dark, a little gothic. It has like a fun little flair to it, but you almost don't even like notice because the world still feels contained and small, which I feel like is like a telltale sign of a fantasy world executed well, that you're just like lost in this world. And like every single time we go to a new place in this world, I'm excited to see what the sprites are, what they look like, what they do. And they're just like little misunderstood forest creatures or like mountain creatures, whatever area of the world that they're in, and they're so unique to the area, and everyone has their own lore based on that, which makes this world feel so old and so real. Rachel Gillig is just a talent. That's what I'm saying. Wasn't expecting this. No. Oh my god. You just have to take it one step further, Rachel Gillig. Yes, you did. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh my god. I'm gonna need about 4 to 7 business years. That should be enough time. Roll the second book. Okay, so that ending, yeah, no, I will in fact be suing for damages. However, I would be willing to settle outside of court if you were to give me the second copy right now. Like right now. What the fuck was that ending? I'm gonna be honest, I sat on it because I was like, there's no way. There is no way. So I sat on it, I did some thinking. I did lots of thinking about this. Not even just the ending, the entire book, but really, if I'm honest about what was focused on, it was the ending. It has been deliberated, and I'm gonna be honest, 5 stars. No, I'm gonna be honest. I also am now questioning, I think Problematic Summer Romance was 5 stars. I don't think it was 4.75, I think it was 5 stars. I think we just got 2 new release 5 stars back to motherfucking back. What is life? What is going on? This was so good. I understand the hype. This was mountains, in my opinion, better than One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, and it's because I believed in this couple and this love so much more. The fucking gargoyle. Very much kind of a similar formula to One Dark Window. Like we have a character who has a strange situation going on based on the magic that exists in this world, and they are kind of at the central existence of that. They're affected by it. And then we have this vigilante associated with the government, associated with the kingdom, who comes in and is like, no, I actually don't believe in any of it. So if you wanna do something about that, we can totally work together. And then there's like a sidekick situation, which I don't want to tell you what the sidekick is in One Dark Window because I feel like I read it so long ago. It might be a spoiler, but it's not. It's a voice in her head, right? But we don't know anything about the nightmare. In this, it is a precious little gargoyle. Now, I don't know what he's supposed to look like, but in my head, he is the size of a 3-year-old, and when he reaches up to hold her hand, which he holds her hand so much. No, this was immaculate. This was truly strong across the board, 5 stars. I was describing the premise of this to my boyfriend last night when I was reading it. I was so enthralled with it. I just couldn't focus on anything else. And I kept saying it was such a beautifully contained story. And he was like, oh, like, so it was small? Like, you didn't think it was good? So I feel the need to clarify that when I say contained, I always mean that in a good way. Like, the story is contained, it's self-sufficient, it feels like it stands on its own, but it's not some big plot storyline where there's still things that are left untied. Like, it's a small, contained situation, but the situation that's going on, only situation that's going on, but it's executed perfectly. Like, I feel like I can picture this world. I mean, miniature. I still view everything Rachel Gillig writes as their miniature, and I'm looking bird's eye view on them, but I really don't know what that says about the chemical makeup of my brain. Probably nothing great, but I mean, aren't there people who read that don't see anything? So like, I'd pick this over not seeing anything because I feel like the movie in my head is the reason that I read so much. To the people who see nothing in their head, what's it like? I'm getting off track. This was beautifully written. The characters were executed so beautifully. The character development, the road that we went on, the web that was unweaved, the problem that we were dealing with. I feel like that's the best way to explain it. Like, I feel like in a lot of fantasies, the problem we're dealing with is like earth-shattering, millions and millions and millions of people are gonna die, governmental takeover, political allegiances, that kind of jazz. This was like a quaint small town where there's 6 omens and some small townships, so we need to do it for our people. It's still just as important, but it's not like some big political intrigue crazy story. It's just this beautifully contained fairy tale-esque, but make it gothic. Rachel Gillig was already a breed of her own. This just solidified it. No, it did, because this is actually criminal. The plot twist that this ended up on, the way this plot leaves off is criminal. Though it's actually criminal. I need the second book like yesterday. If you haven't read this yet, I fear you have to go pick it up. This is, in my mind, so much stronger than One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, only because of how much I connected with the characters. It's just as good as One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns in terms of story, plot development, world, all of that jazz. And the characters in this one, they just hit extra hard. They hit extra hard. A dark-haired, brooding knight who just is down bad and will do anything for this girl. This girl who's had a tortured past and needs someone to do that for her. They just like, they met each other at the perfect time. It's the type of romance you read in a romance book where it's just like they found each other at the perfect time and therefore they're perfect for each other. But like, I also think he would have been down bad for her at any point in time. Any point in time. And the imagery in this is just so strong. Like the fact that everyone is wearing these gossamer shrouds. Like the way I read gossamer 101 times in this book, but it didn't piss me off because it was just so visually appealing. Like all of this stone and then this really, really soft silk. The imagery was beautiful. This is a talent. This is magnificent. I cannot wait for the second book. This is the first Rachel Gillig book that I've gotten that's like God tier. And I have a feeling the second book could be a 6-star because like she really has never disappointed and I care about these characters so much. So to every single person who told me that I had to, just absolutely had to pick this book up, kick rocks. Kick motherfucking rocks, but in the same breath, I also hope that both sides of your pillow are always cool at night because fuck you major, but also thank you and I love you. That was very kind. I didn't even know if it was worth getting ready for the day at any point today because every single page for the first, I don't know, 80 sobs, every single page, sob, sob, sob. I was a broken record of tears on every single one of those pages. Now, 182 pages in, I haven't sobbed, definitely teared up, but I haven't sobbed in a minute. So we're settled. We are reading again. I'm ready for the day, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to put this down. I'm gonna be so real with you. I don't think I'm gonna be able to put this down. I stayed up so past my bedtime last night to keep reading this because I could not put it down. No, I couldn't put it down. No, this is cruel and unusual punishment. This is painful. This book is, to me, the definition of paying attention to the flowers that grow out of concrete, and I don't know how else to explain the sentiment of this book. That is what this book feels like. Taking the moment to appreciate and be grateful for the flowers that come out of awful fucking situations. This is awful fucking situations on awful fucking situation. This is like humanity at its core. This is pain. This is like complete and utter pain. Now I will say this kind of book, this experience, the story that I am reading, the way that I am internalizing certain things and other people internalize other things is in fact the reason that I read. This like is bringing me back to my roots in a lot of ways. I feel torn to shreds in a lot of ways, but really I'm thinking a lot. It's gotten me thinking. I'm thinking a lot of thoughts. So that has to say something. We're following the orphaned 17-year-old Louisa. Louisa has been in the foster care system as long as she can remember, but there's this postcard that she carries with her at all times that has this famous painting on it. Now, this famous painting, all of these rich people in the world only see this painting as a beautiful painting of the sea, and they miss the 3 figures jumping off the pier laughing in the corner. That is all that Louisa has ever been able to see because she knows being able to paint laughter like that, the break from reality that a laughter like that feels, can only be painted by someone who's experienced pain the way that she's experienced experienced pain. So this is her hyperfixation. This postcard is the thing that has gotten her through all of her time in the foster care system. So when the book opens up and that painting is for sale, you can bet your bottom dollar that she is breaking in because she just needs to see it in person. And Louisa as a main character is just the definition of flowers that grow out of cement. I cannot stop sobbing at the sentiments in this book. This is so beautifully written, but not in a way that's like super flowery and prosy. It is very prosy, but it's written in a way that is so punchy and so impactful. Like the comparisons to things and the way that Fredrik Backman is using one sentence to draw emotion out of you. But you're not just getting Louisa's story, you're also getting the story of the reason that this painting was painted and the pain and the hardship that they also had to go through. And don't get me wrong, that is what this story is about. That is what we are going on. I kind of want to tell you not the journey of it because it doesn't really start happening until like 100-ish pages in, and I feel like it was fun going into this blind knowing it was just like about this beautiful painting, and learning teeny tiny nuanced things about this painting and like who the people in the painting are has kind of been, the fun is the wrong word, but like the impactful part of this book so far. All of that's to say, while that is what the book is about, the story is about the teeny tiny small acts of kindness, the teeny tiny things that we do for each other. It's such a conversation of what we owe each other. I have annotated and taken pictures of so many quotes in this book, like so many incredibly impactful quotes, but it's more than anything the teeny tiny little things that these kids who are all going through it and find solace in each other and are there for each other, and like the real benefit of having a child's imagination, ability to love so deeply and without any inhibitions, and to be the person that somebody in your life needs. Jor was good at a lot. He could fight and play soccer, but most of all, he was funny. All of his best ideas came from his sense of humor. The only thing he wasn't much good at was being alone, because he hated silence. That was when he got all his worst ideas. That was why Ted made sure he got to the crossroads before him every single morning. We have these children, these 13, 14-year-old children, dealing with things that children should never have to deal with, but the story and the impactfulness of this, the way that it is written, what I will take out of this is the fact that another character that doesn't feel the need to get out of their house that early will get out of their house every single day early, so that this character doesn't have to sit alone and be with his own thoughts. I like have sobbed throughout the entirety of this book. This is one of the most painful experiences that I've ever had, but it's also just incredibly beautiful. It's beautifully written. Every character in this like balances each other out. Like the character that Louisa is bouncing off of, getting this 20 years ago storyline, is so entirely completely opposite of Louisa, and Louisa stays driving that character up the wall, but he also sees himself and the people that he's loved in her and sees his own pain in her, and it's almost like the cycle repeating itself. Like there's no one else that can be what his friends were for him when he was young, so he has to be it for this girl. I don't even know how you would categorize this. I don't know how I will talk about this when I'm done with it. Like the vulnerability is just so incredibly beautiful to read in words, and then the actual story of it, the story of this painting, what came out of these hardships, the flowers that grew out of this mess for everyone. Okay, I need to stop yapping because I'm trying to get better about noticing when I am loving a book so much that I'm kind of just gibbering and I'm saying nothing of value. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, but I'm also procrastinating a little bit going back into this because I don't know if I'm ready for the emotional journey that we're about to go on. So this is single-handedly reminding me why I love reading. Don't get me wrong, I love a fun little fantasy time, I love a fun little romance time, but this type of reading that just feels like, wow, a human wrote this. A human had an idea in their brain and they've experienced so much, and this is how they see the world, and that's why I love reading. Hardly remembered the funeral, only the coffin, because all she could think was, how can he fit in there? He was far too big. Her whole world. have so many thoughts on this book. However, I feel like the amount of tears that I shed and the number of annotations in here will tell you more than anything words that I come up with are gonna say. I don't need to think on it at all. This is a 6-star read. This is a renowned 6-star read. I need to go back and read every single book that this author has written. I feel like a changed person for having read this. It has come to my attention. I mean, I've known for a really long time that if other people are certain types of readers and they can be denoted as something, I can definitely be denoted as being an overly sensitive reader. So like the amount of tears that other people cried reading this, times that by 10, and that's how many I cried. I honestly did not film most of my reading experience with this because I was just crying the entire time. And like, how weird would it be if I came on the internet and just cried the entire time that I read a book to you and I made you watch that? So you saw a lot of tears, but let me tell you that that was not all of them. Louisa got this story of 25 years in a couple days. Like, it hit her like a truck, and you as the reader also get this story of 25 days. You could read it in a day, you can't put it down, but also in a couple days. There are so many beautiful sentiments in this book and beautiful things in this book that just like, I really feel like at a loss for words. I've never read something like this. Is up there for my favorite books ever. I love this writing. Like, I love Ollie Blake's writing, and like I love Jessa Hastings' writing, which if you watched me before, you know how much that statement means. But there's so many beautiful sentiments in this that just like made me feel so many things. Like, I don't even know what adjective to use to describe how I was feeling. It talks a lot about how much time weighs when you're little, because when you're small, you don't have that much time to compare things to. Your existence is so much shorter, is so much smaller, and you don't have this recency bias of time moving. Like, you're moving grades constantly. So like, these little people, these little humans, time is so heavy to them. It weighs so much. And even though you hope that every person you know never experiences things like this, you hope that you would be the person that was helpful in situations like this. We all, as adults, remember what it feels like to be a kid and to have those summers as a kid and to feel how heavy time felt, and to look back on that as an adult and feel these feelings through the eyes of children again. And these people do for each other, and this cycle that repeats of, we found one of us, like we found one, like we need to nurture this person because no one else has, and like it has to be us because like no one else gets it. I do not have the words, the sentiments in this story. It's even one of the characters in here saying that he didn't call a mother. He's just gonna show up because now that she's lost her kid, every single time that the phone rings, she thinks she's gonna re-experience that again. As soon as you have a kid, as a mother, you answer the phone on the very first ring every single time. Your phone is always beside you because they're like this extension of you. You have one heart together. You answer the phone on the first ring every single time, and then one time you answer the phone and they're telling you that you've lost your child, and now every single time that the phone rings, you answer another and you're brought back to that all over again. So another character, another human with feelings as well, doesn't call you, just shows up because they will not do that to you. This was so entirely human, and I feel like you don't get something like this unless you get an extremely talented author, an extremely talented storyteller, someone who is made to tell stories, who views the world and lives life through their very own unique lens. They see things the way that they see them, and they have this unique outlook on the world, and when you put those two things together, you get something like this. And all of the readers who read it, who feel things at least as deeply as I do, you don't even have to feel things as deeply as I do to take a lot out of this. If you feel things as deeply as I do, buckle the fuck in. The first 80 pages, 100 pages of reprieve. It was almost like you got hit by trucks so many times that you kind of got used to it. And then just the more sentiments that carried forward, the way that teeny tiny things in the beginning of the book or in the middle of the book tied together in the end. Every single motif in this book carried forward, every single sentiment. The way that it was written was fun and it was whimsical. Even like there's a moment where he says you would never see a kid this surprised even if you told them that Santa Claus was the dentist. Funny, it's whimsical, you're giggling. These characters are literally so personable. They're so real. They're so real. It's just, to everyone who told me to read this, that was really rude. If I was in any less of an emotional state, this would have put me in a deep dark depression, while also simultaneously it did fully give me a will to live again. Not to be dramatic, but like, this is why I read. Books like this are why I read, and I can't read them all the time, don't get me wrong, because I could not take the emotional devastation that books like this give me all the time, but books like this are the reason that I do read, and they're the reason that I got into reading, and they are the reason that I love talking about books, because it's so interesting to see how two people experience the same book differently. Like, it's the best part of being a reader, and I just feel like if everyone in the world read, that there would be a lot more compassion, because there is no world that you can read something like this and not feel for these fake characters. There's just no world. I think it was Hank Green who said on a podcast recently that like, if everyone read, compassion levels would go up, because you never get to experience life through someone else's eyes unless you're so deep in love with the character. I know I sound so dramatic, but I do not know how to talk about books that make me feel feelings this big and be normal about it. And I might have said nothing in this time, I might have conveyed nothing, but I hope with everything in me that the tears and everything, at least that convinces you to pick this up because I really think you should. Take it with a grain of salt, be in a pretty good mental place, because it's gonna be a hard read. At the end of the day, everything in this is kind of hope. It's what people do with awful situations, how awful people and awful treatment of people can still make another person who's amazing, and that person can be amazing in themselves, but the things that they've been through will affect someone else, and maybe that person will change the world. Yeah, that was my friends for me. And that is the end of our time spent together today, because I don't have it in me to read another 5-star book. I mean, I would love another 5-star book, don't get me wrong. However, I think we just read 3 5-stars back to back. So if you needed a sign to go to the bookstore and pick up some new releases, I think this is your sign. I don't know why you would need a sign, because there's a difference between book shopping and book reading. There are different hobbies. That being said, if you needed a sign to go and pick up some new releases, this is it, because our favorite authors are dropping bangers, okay? This is a new God tier favorite author, and I haven't read anything else by him. Not one singular other thing. I'm not gonna stop thinking about this. Like, this book is in my DNA. I'm gonna call my tattoo artist. Let me know if you guys have read any of these and what you thought of them, or which one you're going to be adding to your TBR, because there's no world that you made it through this entire video and there's not at least one book that sticks out to you, because these are all very different and they all made me feel really big things. So let me know which one you're going to add to your TBR, and I hope to see you in the next one. Love you. Bye. I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined 3 new releases back to back to back would be strong 5 stars. Like, this might have been the best reading week of my entire life. So maybe you have to read all 3, because then it could be the best reading week of your life.